Here's the serving tray that I'll be giving away within the next month here to one lucky winner. Here's how I built it, or part of how I built it actually. This is before I got into videotaping the process of some of these projects that I'm working on. I started out with cutting short pieces of wood, and I hot glued each one to the bottom of a 1/4-inch piece of MDF or particle board, whatever you want to call it. This was all put into a form that I had pre-built for pouring the epoxy into. It was time to mix the epoxy. I won't bore you with all the details concerning that, but I'll fast forward through this and we'll get on to the next steps. Now it was time to pour the epoxy into the form. Now you'll see after I'm done pouring the epoxy in the form, torch out all the bubbles, and I'll continue to torch it off and on as more bubbles rise to the surface. I missed videoing an important part of the process of flattening the board on both sides with my router and removing it from the form. But we'll continue on. Here I'm going to level it on the table here, and we're going to seal coat it, and that'll brighten it up. It's been sanded, and I'm using some shims here to level out the board, because I'm going to pour a thin layer of epoxy over the top, and that should help fill in any voids. After I got the board leveled on the table, I'll start putting tape around the outside, and that will hold in the epoxy I'm going to pour in the middle of the board. Now I'm going to pour a thin top coat of clear epoxy. You can pick it up at Home Depot. It's like a bar or tabletop epoxy. It's made for thin pours, not for thick. So there'll be about maybe 1/8 of an inch of epoxy over the top of this whole board, and that will clear out all the blemishes, any kind of scratches from sanding. This epoxy is self-leveling. I'm just going to spread it out here with a spatula and get it kind of even all over the board. And then I'll kind of let it do its own thing. Now that the epoxy is about the right consistency, I'll be removing the tape, pulling the tape kind of down and back, and letting the epoxy slowly roll over the sides. And a day or so later, I'll flip the board over like I have here and do the other side, so both sides will get a top coat. Unfortunately, I've left out a lot of steps, but this would be one of the final steps, buffing, polishing. We missed out on the sanding. Obviously, I didn't make a video on that. But I'll sand it from 60 grit all the way up to 10,000 grit wet sand. And then I polish it with polishing compound. If you'd like to see more of these videos, like and subscribe. It'll help me out and encourage me to make more of these videos.